this is another one that guys just go nuts over trying to obtain.
See that one? The coloring and the reversal.
Oh no, it's really brilliant.
Pass pass.
It's cool to see all the variations of the Phantom.
Yeah, no, I started right out of high school in 1984. I moved to LA, and I grew up watching everything I could monster related, horror fan, and late night horror host shows, you know, trying to stay up on Friday nights, you know, collecting Famous Monsters magazine. You know, I was the kid that had all the magazines and kept them in the plastic sleeves and wouldn't let anybody touch them, you know, and I just was enamored by fascinated with the monster creators that were in those magazines, and started to realize, hey, there's an industry out there for that, you know. So, and I was always into art, and so I just kind of translated my art of drawing into making monsters. There's a lot of stuff over the years. I think 40 years now, almost. So, yeah, I think next year's 40. So, I'm doing this stuff, but I love it, and I love working with other artists and seeing other art. You know, it's like I love collaborative art. You know, and that's what filmmaking is. So. Plus, I believe they did a whole bunch of new, you know, documentary interviews, things like that. Yeah, it is. I'm trying to switch all my movies to blue, right? Yeah.
It's Gorilla, that's right. Yeah. But then there's other.
I think Lowland is Gorilla. This is Marsha Edmunds' son.
Over there. I just
I'm very used to him filming me.
Yeah.
I just think sort of like.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like, what's the point?
Yeah.
That's good. I'm kind of excited that. I guess maybe it's just because I'm not. I'm holding like it's less back and forth. Right. Take a dish is curious. So it's kind of just like another.
She did.
You were mystified by how to do a two-piece mold. You know, you look at this,
well,
and it's like
I was 15 or something, you know, and like everything. There was no way to get information back then, you know. There was literally nothing. And I had like that stage makeup book by Richard Corson.
That was it for me too. I had Richard Corson. I had the Dick Smith. What was it? How to make a monster?
There was a making a monster.
This guy,
making a monster. Oh, the Dick Smith Monster Maker Handbook. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all I had, and we would call. I'd try to talk to mask companies and stuff, and it was a black box. They would not reveal their secrets.
Yeah, I never.
So everything you see is actually traditionally hand sculpted out of clay, and then mold and cast in resin. So I'm very much a traditional artist. My matrix molds that I make.
What were some of your influences?
So my biggest influence is going to be 40s, anywhere from like the 40s to 60s. I love that era because of the aesthetic, like machinery, cars, everything like that. They had an elegance to them, like curves and everything. Like on this piece, you'll see it has like fenders almost. It has this fin, this hood ornament. It's like, I love that style. There's a lot of curves. Like all my masks have these dome-shaped curves, and that also lends itself to that era. So that's my big influence. I love fantasy, I love sci-fi, you know, but like that, the 40s, 50s, 60s, that's just kind of like where all my stuff can find a home.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah. So this one blew up online, no joke. It was like, I thought that...
We're trying to do a mix of them, right? Like sculpt. It's like a mastectomy, so like sculpt the scar, scan there, and make it with the body, or you know,
That's so cool.
That's the printing of like they have these molds, these printers that are like you know 2x2 build volume, you know, huge. So you can print like a full head mold, conceivably. But the resin would still be like the same as high scan.
Couldn't even fit it back here. We're like, yeah, that's not gonna work.
Good, how are you? Good.
Actually, I was always a kid, an artist kid, you know, and I would draw pictures and cartoons and try to copy the cartoons that I saw on TV. And then I went to college and in the fine arts program, and it was very academic. So you know, so we were doing like nude models and portraits and landscapes and still lifes and stuff like that. So I learned the craft there, but then after college, I kind of fell into this sort of creature and character design, and just ran with it. Never looked back. I like to keep it fun. I like to keep it fun and lighthearted, you know. So it's great when the kids come by too and they see these things and you see their eyes light up, you know. It's like.
What were some of the things that influenced you as a kid, as an artist, though?
Well, this was a toy that I had as a kid, actually. This is called a Mad Ball. So do you remember from the 80s?
One of those that brought me back. Yep.
Yeah, so stuff like that. You know, I was really into movies like Ghostbusters, and I loved you know, like He-Man, Masters of the Universe. So you know, I can kind of see my influences coming from those sort of characters.
We can do a segue right behind us.
Is Scud, and so he's kind of a steampunk cybernetic organism. And then right beside Scud is Oracle. And Oracle, for all you Tryptophobia fans and scared of holes, that was just for you.
And then most recently released, we have our Abyss aliens up here. And our wonderful warg beast monster creatures over here as well.
Who's that guy?
And then super secret release that we haven't even talked about him online yet is our Grimp, our grandpa imp, as it were. So you'll be seeing many more paint variations of him coming in the next week and a half or so. So stay tuned. It's one size fits most. I can tell by looking at you, it'll fit you. It'll fit you, just trust me. The only point of concern a little bit would just be your facial hair. This is the only one we have here right now. We had two, but the other one. Yes.
Yeah, we'll need to do one. Do you want to do it?
have them, I do. And I don't want to leave. It's obviously been busy enough. It was like, if a sale begins happening, it's hard.
I don't know, to me, that's what I would.
This guy, look at him.
Yeah.
Hello, new dog.
So we might be getting that. And it'll be because
I could do this in a debt like
It's
this.
so weird. Like, you'd think it'd be a couple here and a couple there. It's just like a bunch. Nothing. A bunch. Nothing.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You too. Thank you very much.
I hope the show goes well for you.
Thank you.
Hi there.
How we doing? You guys have a good day. Enjoy the show.
With
Mass Fest?
Monsters and Mass Fest or
Mass Fest, I started in 2015, I want to say. It was the very first time I ever vended for a show. So it was a wonderful experience, and I just couldn't not come the next time. So I just kept coming, you know. So that's, and I was already getting into monster making and things like that when I was in college. So that's kind of how I started my hill into filmmaking and special effects makeup and things like that. Homework.
Well, I mean, after hours.
So somebody that's 6'4" can wear them. That is so super nice. I didn't like how they cut up the back, so that's big enough to put on without even cutting the back off. Really? I did them twice. I sculpted those twice. I wasn't happy with the first one.
Sculpted them twice.
Yeah.
That's some crazy stuff.
My mom took me to see Alien at the drive-in when I was 7, I think. So that was the beginning of the end.
Can I ask you how you got into mask making?
Oh man. I collected masks for a long time since I was a kid and used to come to Mass Fest all the time. And then it was like Noah Rivers over there. He was 17. And I was like, man, if this kid's doing it, I gotta try it. So I bought a kit 5 years ago and started doing it.
No.
That's what
That's the only one we have, yeah. It's an old classic, sculpted in the 80s.
Oh, that one's from the 80s?
The sculpture is from the 80s. It's an old design.
Which one?
This one. This one and all of these are like from the 70s and 80s designs. Sculpted by Bill Oystrom for Zagoni.
So these are all from the...
Yeah, all these designs, span like early 70s to the 80s. I mean, this guy might be as early as like 1975 or 73. I don't remember which. But look at these beautiful, beautiful works of art. One that they probably one of their like stock ones that they just had for how long has this mask been around? Couple decades, yeah. It's been around for a while. The hands.
We have a YouTube channel. We're the Mummy and the Monkey. I think we got enough video.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
She wants to go look at the toy table. And so do I.
We have to go back and get her. Yeah. I think so.
Good, how are you? Pretty good, pretty good. How did you get involved with
just obsession with horror movies and cartoons, and it kind of blended itself into creating these kinds of masks here. Yeah, so it's pretty much all I think about, all I do 24/7, so this is what we end up with.
Masks and cartoons. What kind of cartoons were you also?
Most of the cartoons I grew up with were like Ren and Stimpy, Rocko's Modern Life, any of those like real like weird, grotesque cartoons. So I kind of had a big inspiration, a big impact on me, obviously. So I try to like filter that into my masks along with the horror inspirations. Yeah.
Very unique, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. I like the bubbles.
The boils,
yeah. The boils.
I just like it. I don't like doing the same thing over and over. I'll do a small usually, and I don't do a lot of conventions, so.
Do you do like a certain, give some...
Primal Fusion Collective is just, we all went to the Savini school together and worked out in the film industry together and have, remained friends over the years. So it's myself, Reed Caesar, Kyle Marzigliano, Josh Haywood, and Nicholas Puglisi. We all get together and do Mask Fest, and we're coming from all over the country.
These are mine, these two pumpkins. This one's actually also UV reactive. These magnets that you see, some of them have already sold. And then these guys, this Grim Reaper, the Witch, the Conquistador, and this guy.
To make 8 more. And then I brought these two Gene Stealers, which were also part of my Mask Monster Day painting demo.
Well, what did I bring? I bought these half masks, and then I bought these 2 warheads that are on the end caps up here. These big guys.
Awesome. What's your name?
I'm Josh Haywood from New York.
Going. So I brought the clowns, the nobblers, all this whole tier right here, and then brought the Grim Reaper, obviously the other clown.
Hey there.
How's it going, sir?
Good, thanks. Nice. I like the bee ones. Very unique.
I'll pass on the word.
Yeah, well, it came from your story too, right? Wow.
Okay, let me, name's Jordy, the other artist.
Yeah.
He's over there talking to him, so he's geeking out, and rightfully so.
This is creative.
Oh yeah,
design.
Frankenstein. She figured that like sloths are slow and Frankenstein's slow, so Frankensloth. When I make my labels that say, caution, wear headphones or whatever, they can cause drowsiness or all this stuff. But I want to make like
one tote for trick-or-treaters, one tote of Pogo and Christmas.
Wow, very cool.
It's resin and rigid foam.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
How did you get into mask making? And
Yeah, it's just as a kid, I always wanted to make a mask, and then I was watching Doctor Who, and we saw the ood. I was like, all right, I gotta make an ood. I gotta learn how to make masks. That was about 6 years ago. How are you?
From right before you left, 5 minutes after.
We've got the silicones for masks, for silicone masks, and then latex we sell, and foam for backfilling stuff. And the clays have been pretty popular. We've been talking about those this time around, and so there's a lot of different families. But yeah, we kind of did a little bit of everything.
Do it ourselves. Sorry.
oh, it's alright.
That likes the same way though. That's why I feel like we might get along so we'll all be grown on the same page. Where the internet was like at our fingertips. Like we just both pretended to be grown men, so no one took it, so people took us serious. Here we are being a whopper 12 years old. One of my favorite movies when I was a kid. This is from the newer one.
It's like his own take on it, actually. So I think it's influenced by a lot of the different ones. Yeah. And this is what it looks like before.
Oh wow.
So you can see the flap of skin that's underneath the hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he didn't get time to finish more than one. And I was like, I'm taking this one anyway. He actually just did the stitches yesterday morning before we opened, sitting right here. He was like stitching it right
there?
Yeah.
Yes, business, right?
Something like that.
He's happy to say hi.
Not too sick.
Two pumpkins. Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And that's been your character for a long time, you say?
Yeah, since the first game, and every single game since then, I played the exact same character, learned every moveset. So this is honestly makes my day.
The other ones were cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
How'd it turn out? And like, I buy the quarter scale statues anyway. It was like for the price of like one of those, I get these guys. And wire armature.
Sorry about it, man. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it, man.
Hi.
Thank you.
Where's Distortions at here today? Where's that at?
They're in that.
We're like, okay, we're gonna go to Indy. We're gonna go to Indy. They added you and the guys from
in the front row here, these are all one-of-ones, one-offs. This is a resin cast. My original Michael Myers is at home. And I had 4 to begin with, so we're down to 1, so that's good.
I got this clay called cosplay because it's been on my bucket list forever because I've heard it advertised as being very flexible.
I wanted to do it. I wanted to buy that also.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Very good.
How did you get into mask making?
You ever watch Extreme Home Makeover? They had an episode where one of the kids was like into special effects and stuff, so they visited the Tom Savini school. And for me, that was the first time I heard that was like a job or anything. Because, growing up, I watched a lot of horror movies with my dad. So after that, I just did a bunch of research, found out just about Tom, and just that kind of snowballed into hearing about a bunch of other people. I ended up going to the Tom Savini school after high school. And then just kept at it ever since then. I've just been sculpting and painting, and just trying to be my best. Yeah, that one's definitely been a favorite for sure.
Yeah. And this one with the brain too is really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey there!
Thank you very much.
How did you get into all of this?
As a kid, watching movies I wasn't supposed to. started it, and then just behind the scenes stuff, you know, all the greats, Tom Savini, and all, like, just seeing the behind the scenes stuff, I was like, oh, someone made that. That was huge. That was everything for me. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I sell a lot of these bears. I try to keep them very reasonably priced. So I think that is one reason. But then they're just the perfect amount of creepy and cuddly.
Yeah, they're cute and creepy. Look at the little face.
This one here, some of them are more gruesome than others. This one here, this is Shotgun. It's the little details, like if you look inside, I've sculpted his tongue and his teeth in there. Can you see it in there? All those little details. So I hope that when people buy these in the car on the way home, they'll be looking at it and they'll go, oh my gosh. Those are the things that I try to do.
Where do you guys get your inspiration from for these influences then as a kid?
Universal Monsters, some of the Hammer stuff, you know, comics, things like that. Yeah.
And how did you decide to take the leap then into creating your own?
Well, like I said, I've always drawn, and I started sculpting, and then I started doing them professionally for almost 20 years now. So it was circa 1989 or something like 88, and it was those back page ads in Fangoria, I think Gore Zone, but you know, it was just, you flip them over and you've seen all these wonderful masks that were, I mean, you know, they might as well have been on the moon, you know, because no shops around me had them, but they're phenomenal. You know, yeah, I love them. Baby Stinky, I wanted one of those Baby Stinky puppets in the worst way and everything, but just, yeah, they're iconic, you know, for me, and that was a big inspiration.
So how did you get into mask making?
I've always been into makeup and monsters as a kid, and I started painting masks professionally, and I was never a sculptor, and I decided to start sculpting and haven't stopped since. Grateful to be here amongst so many amazing artists.
Remember your first
Yes,
exposure?
as a little kid in the 70s, Imagineering was a company, and they put out stuff called scar stuff, but it was actually mortician's wax, and so I'd make little scars of myself. And then Dick Smith put out a makeup kit that you would pour gelatin into these molds, and I would make myself up, and then it just kind of went from there.
And I can remember Halloween was like Christmas for us. I mean, we just thought it was the greatest thing ever. We'd start getting ready, you know, months ahead of time. And I think it just becomes such a pleasant memory of childhood. Not the only way you feel, but you can get out of
This is my newest one. I'm trying to go for kind of like an old school vintage look. I've also been making little mini masks for kids because I figured these were something that I would have liked when I was young.
Which one's the most popular one this year? Or
usually this one or the Hatbox Ghost over here.
Oh, yeah.
We never been, so we're all watching.
No, it's about 120.
She paid for them. So I was like, that's my company name. I started doing tiki, so I named it Ada Tiki since my first mug was a conjoined skull.
Really?
That became my logo for it was the Ada Tiki conjoined skull. And this is so new, I sold the one I had. So that'll hopefully get in production next month. I've got to make production molds and everything. Then you have to glaze it, fire it. You can underglaze it and fire it. Then you have to glaze it again for the inside and fire it again. So I'm like,
it could explode, it could...
I've made weird babies like this where I put a crybaby face inside the head and it exploded in the kiln and took out 2 or 3 other pieces. And the funny thing is when I post that, it gets the biggest reaction online, like social media. Everyone's like, I like that. Thank you for liking my failure.
How long have you been doing art and?
Forever. Both my parents are artists, so it just kind of happened.
Oh, awesome. And what aspect of all this do you do now?
I mainly help my dad with seam work and molding now. So he's more the painter, I'm more of the sketcher and help design.
And how about the sculpting too? Who in the team does that? Or
it's kind of like a 50-50. We'll like do a little bit, pass it off to each other, and tweak a little things, and then pass it back.
You both team sculpt, your dad and you? Or?
Yeah.
Let me guess, you want me to sculpt something?
Is this Jordu? I've heard about you, dude. I've always wanted to meet you. I hear you're pretty good at this stuff.
And Edmunds.
Okay, how long you spent on this?
Want some ruffles? That was half an hour.
Half an hour. It's fantastic.
It's not. It's awful.
Well, your awful is my beautiful.
I didn't bring any tools. I can't. Gosh.
It's got tons of character.
Not at all unique.
There you are. Oh man, what a chore setting this up, dude. It's a labor of love, and I'm sure everybody's just loved it.
It's worth it though. And the reactions from the show so far have been amazing.
Yeah.
Tom Savini was here this morning, just loving it.
Yeah, I love it that Tom's a true fan.
I was telling him about certain pieces, and he actually worked on these Day of the Dead stunt masks. Those were on-set masks. I have all 3 Rotted Corpse, 1, 2, 3, the first 3. The reason I love it is seeing it in the old Fangoria ads, you know, things like, that's what I love about these old Distortions masks. It's just that connection to my childhood, my favorite magazine. I wanted these so bad back then.
Stuff as it went along.
This Snow Beast.
Oh, is that what that's called?
I think
Just
so.
kidding. Yeah.
This is another one that guys just go nuts over trying to obtain.
Now, Marsha used to hair these.
Yeah,
we had
I
a
did.
giant
I could have haired that.
table. It was probably a 10-foot table.
Yeah.
And it was on a Lazy Susan, and you could spin it, and it had heads all around, and she'd get on there.
Slapping the
hair
hair
that.
on.
Oh, yeah.
I have another Distortions piece I would like to show you.
Oh,
Those are both from Tom Savini.
Well, his
Or, I mean,
sculptures,
yeah, they're
and then we got the rights to manufacture them.
Beautiful examples though. Like I don't think there's a better fluffy out there. Everyone says that this is the most pristine example of this. It's a really rare mask now. There's probably a handful known in the hobby.
Well, you know, detail on that is awesome.
What I love about your version is this coloring, you know, this strange silvery blue color that you chose. And this is probably one of my top favorite films of all time, Creepshow.
Yeah, that was
a very
such a unique
special
movie. Yeah.
So having these in my collection is incredible.
But of course, this one's the one that drives everybody crazy, right?
That's
I mean,
that's the Vern Langdon zombie. You know, in the hobby, it's the only known copy. You know, maybe there's one out there in the world that we don't know of, but that's the only original known. Original paint, original hair. There's another one that's completely restored. Paint.
Oh, so there's nothing left.
Paint,
but
hair,
that's
but
all original.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, I actually called Kurtzman in the 80s, I think. I wanted to do that mask, and he was going to let me do it.
Really?
But he wanted $5,000, and I'm like, back then.
That's a lot of money back then.
It was a lot of money, but it was also, collecting wasn't what it is now.
For you, when you first started collecting, like your very first mask?
Very first mask, you know, as a little kid, I was wearing all the little Ben Cooper plastic masks. And that. I really loved Halloween. Halloween was a different thing in the 80s, and you know, it's changed now. And, it was so important to me. You wait all year, all month for that day, and you'd wear your costumes around school, walk around the parade, and that love for Halloween gave me this love for masks. You know, it's like when you're a kid, when you put those Dracula teeth in, put the cape on, you're Dracula. Like in your mind, you put these monster masks on. I'm Frankenstein. Out of my way, you know, I'm a monster.
Well, I was super shy, but when I got in a monkey makeup or something, man, I could come alive. I don't know what that was. So do you remember your first mask? You know what it was?
Yeah.
The first, I had some ape masks and things, but my first, the one I really loved was a Be Something Studios late 70s evil unicorn with the horn that comes out.
That's obscure.
Yeah, still have. I've got others. You know, they made me a real custom one recently, a beautiful copy for me. The guys over there at Zagoni. There's some Jordu Schell originals, you know. One really rare mask in this case here is an old House of Horrors one that I think most people probably never even saw this before, but that's an old Joe Reader.
That's good. Joe Reader did
1986 or 1988, I think he made this, but really neat. Yep. That's a fully restored original.
You know, I bought one of those in San Francisco. I was visiting my sister, and it was in a shop, and I just had to have it. That was such a clever concept.
And it's so unique because of these. Rob Tharp gave it the paint job. Kathy did the eyes, and then good old Dante Renta foam filled it. So, like Distortions, a very big part of our childhoods. You know, and all those ads in monster magazines.
Well, for me, it was Don Post. I mean, that's what did it. That talk Don gave the other night was just, I was in the front row just.
Right, that was great.
My father was the creator of the latex mask back in 1938, and I kind of just inherited an interest because of his involvement in his business, Don Post Studios. And later on, I ran and owned Don Post Studios. So that's how I got involved in it.
What were some of your earliest memories that involved either masks or monsters or the making of, like your really early memories?
Well, one of the early memories was when I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. I was in the factory where my dad was making all of the props for the original Body Snatchers movie. So I remember that, and I used to, my parents would both be working, so I'd go down to the factory with them and fall asleep on a work table at maybe 5 years old. So, you know, I've been around it literally all my life.
And was it something that it never scared you, or it was just always something just really normal, or when you were really little?
Well, the only thing that really scared me is after Body Snatchers, after they finished all that stuff, I wanted to see the movie. And I knew about all the pieces and everything, and I went to see the movie, and that scared me. And as a matter of fact, going along with the theme of the movie, we came home and I was quite stressed by it, and my parents said, all right, it's time to go to sleep. Everything's okay. Well, I knew they had those pods. You know, no other kid could say that their parents had the pods. So it was very difficult to go to sleep that night.
People were looking at
Well, you've got a good signature.
That's professional.
Mine's terrible.
I wonder how many times I've done it.
Oh my gosh.
This is still kind of wet, so be careful.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah, I saw a movie when I was 11 years old, Man of a Thousand Faces. You know that movie? It's the story of Lon Chaney. I even have a son named Lon after Lon Chaney. But that's the first movie that showed me somebody creates the monsters. I believe they existed before that, you know. So I decided then and there I'm going to be one of the guys that creates the monsters. Your book is great, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm
I
enjoying
like
the hell out of it. Yeah.
It's kind of exposes my nerdiness, and stupidity.
We all know that we were all nerds
Yes.
at some point. Yeah.
Yes. You know, somebody told me recently, nerds are cool now. Did you know that?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. Is that what it was?
What do you want?
That is. We'll get you in the middle.
So when I molded this, I split this area off. And then I also split off the back of the horns.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, so I made a couple of different little molds, raw castings.
Wow. That's really good.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm very happy with how they came out.
Yeah, those are gorgeous.
Thank you.
I like these too, your wall.
Yeah.
Thank
wall
you.
plaques. Yeah, those
Thank
are
you.
awesome. Very nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really appreciate what you guys do.
Oh, well, same to you. It just
Thank you.
Amazing. We were admiring your work last night. You weren't here, but holy cow.
I love
clever.
it.
Yes.
Hi.
Marsha.
Hi.
Hi, Ed. How are you? Good.
Yeah. That's a good name too.
Thank you. I actually...
Yeah, that's a very memorable name.
So I used to be afraid of all of this stuff. I couldn't watch a horror movie.
Oh, is that right?
That's absolutely right. And then I was hired to sculpt a life-size decaying horse for a haunted attraction. And I'm like, and I've always loved anatomy. And I was like, I'm in, right? And then I started watching horror movies, and I maybe had some nightmares I had to work through for a while. And now I literally can't get enough. So I'm the chicken that casts the monster shadow.
That is so cool. That's a great story. Well, you know, sometimes stuff gets locked in your head when you're a child, and you can't get it out. It's very hard to purge, and it's irrational. You know, like a lot of adults have fear of clowns, but they got scared as a child, and it's just in there somewhere in their subconscious. So that's cool. You work through it and love them. Yeah, that is great.
Yeah. So like I can pattern all kinds of stuff. So I made him some.
I can't complain.
It's okay, no,
I can't complain. I made like these vampires. I made so many of them.
So little column A, little column B.
Because I mean, I had the display set up, but I mean, I guess people just really dig life casting stuff now.
This is very clever. You know, the little cutesy bow, and then it's like, oh no, something's very wrong with her.
Well, I just what I did.
Oh, nice.
I used the hands because that's from a crappy pour of the body that I had, and I just made a bust out of it.
Wow.
But this one's fun.
Really good paint. Man,
Thanks.
You got it.
Thanks, man.
You got your style. Looks great. Amazing.
Everything's cool.
I love this so much. Don't you?
We'll put it in the living room.
I love it.
It was good seeing you.
Always good seeing you.
Thanks, Marsha. I appreciate it.
Hey guys. Oh man, you're dedicated.
That's why there's only one.
I'm
I'm not mass producing.
Oh my gosh, yes. Really good. Sculpting and painting. Nice.
I actually watched all the Distortions Unlimited demo videos from like Transworld, and that was like, it was really cool because I wanted to know how they made it. And I saw like all the Dr. Lady videos, I saw like Gremlins and Rick Baker's work on like what was it, Star Wars and the second one of Gremlins. It blew my mind. So for this, you know, it inspired me, and at 10 I got a foam head and some latex and toilet paper, and I made like my first ever mask on there. And yeah, and it turned into this 4 years later, and yeah, Monster Resurrection. My dad does the sculpts with me, and my dude.
What up? Sorry, I'm just working.
Yeah, my dude, Funhouse Jose Claudio, he helped sculpt with us as well. One of the immortal mask sculptors, Austin Matthews, has done some stuff for us as well. And yeah, and one of our dudes, Straight to Video Mask Maker, did this one too. This is like a debut and everything.
So we did that, and then
this black and white effect. That's really good. That's a hard
and I just did a
one.
blue variant.
Right.
But I like the black and white.
Yes.
These all glow in the dark. Shock-A-Rama Mummy, Shock-Feratu, and Schockenstein Monster. This one's wearable. And this is the, basically, Tom loves this one, Savini was saying, the famous Monsters cover. But of course, when you turn it to the side, you never could see the side views. I had to kind of figure out what it would look like. And this is an older sculpture, and this is one of the most recent things.
Nice.
And I never did a bust before. She's got 22. Now the snakes, there's bendable wire embedded in each one, so you can pose all 22. It weighs 10.
First interaction with Distortions was watching the TV show with Making Monsters, and in the book, it's a catalog of so much more of the work that we weren't familiar with. So seeing some of the history of those things, the sculpts, and you know how they were made, and the colors that they were using at the time is really, really neat. Some of that stuff is so rare. And again, seeing Making Monsters was great because it showed that there's work to be done. There is a market for these people doing these physical mediums, and that led me into the industry in Los Angeles doing that kind of thing, special effects. It's all related. And you can get so much character in these latex masks, and it's so much fun in the Halloween sense of things, but then also just folks who collect them to have on display year-round. It's something that needs to be passed on, because if you don't keep telling other folks, it might get lost, and that's history that's worth repeating. And you have to know where you come from to really respect the craft in that sense, and who did it, and really give tribute to those folks who paved the way for the other artists who came later on. You know, so many of us wouldn't be doing these kinds of things if not for the inspiration that we got from folks like Distortions, from Don Post, that were doing these kinds of things at a time when not a lot of other people were doing them.
I want to say we're right around 14 years now. And yeah, of course, I was a huge collector of all things horror and masks, and a huge fan of Distortions and Don Post Studios, and that I was working in corporate America and I just couldn't stand the job. So I called up Justin, who was my favorite independent artist, and asked if he wanted to start a mask company in the vein of old Don Post Studios, Topstones, Distortions, and that's kind of how it began. And then we had a roadmap for how we wanted to evolve from masks, costumes, props, and then eventually get into figures, action figures, other collectibles, and then I'm a huge tabletop gamer, so that was the next evolution. So we do tabletop games and puzzles and kind of just growing out the category. It didn't hurt, too, that my dad, he was into motion picture distribution, and he was part of media, home entertainment, and he was part of Bryanston. And he was the original distributor for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And Halloween, I remember having that on Betamax. I remember seeing the movie in Erwin Yablon's screening room before it had the soundtrack. Yeah, so it just kind of grew up with it. Cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
These magazines, and there's like Distortions, and there's like Death Studios, and there's like, you know, all these people making cool stuff, right? And you're like, oh my God, I want to do this. There's a photo of someone in a basement with a bunch of masks behind them. You're like, I want to do that, you know?
In fact, that was almost exactly
You know,
one of the photos that made me go crazy. You know that magazine, Amazing Cinema?
Of course, yeah. I know that.
Their second issue had an article on independent mask makers, and that was the first time I ever saw the face of the guy who was doing the stuff I was crazy about.
Yeah.
I thought he looked like a trucker.
Yeah.
I look like a what?
A trucker.
A trucker. I was very stylish.
I remember that issue. That had Jeff Death in it too, right? It was a good, cool picture of him.
Jeff Kime, Joe Reeder, Dave Ayers, and Ed.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got about every one of our kids. We got 3 of them, and they're all about the same size. And it was her time, and I'm like, "You want to go?" And she's like, "I can't miss it." She's like,
So that was so Reed sculpted the pumpkins. He did this incredible vampire display up here, the witch and the conquistador mummy.
Who did the paint job?
Me, Reed.
And you came up with the idea for the cotton and stuff. I used that years and years ago. It's brilliant. I like the colors you chose. I always go with this kind of greenish color. Sure. I think this looks more real.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
You like the dragons?
Sold 4 of the dragons. We brought 8, so we're halfway there.
Get on it.
Yeah. We sold a Gene Stealer earlier today.
Gene Stealer?
Yeah.
So there's people running around without pants?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh my gosh.
I know, you gotta watch out.
Somebody's gonna get arrested. It's a problem.
Yeah, that's too painful. It wasn't a mistake. Yeah,
Are you sure?
I'm serious.
Oh my God, he
Tell
is
him
gonna freak out.
Yeah.
He's serious.
Being a leprechaun is so much fun.
Here comes Ed.
A leprechaun, I can't believe it.
Saucerman is the mask.
The Invasion of the Saucerman.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful movie.
And is this called Invasion of the Saucerman or just Saucerman?
I don't know, maybe saucy for sure.
Saucerman.
But what was so cool about it was they used little people to wear this thing. So as big as this thing is, it was gigantic, and they had their little spacesuits, and it was just a classic movie monster. Well, long ago, we made this thing. Paul Blaisdell sculpted it in the 50s, I believe, and it's a beautiful sculpture. I've always thought this was a great movie monster, and